Hi friends, welcome to episode 90. We're really getting through them now, probably because I'm spending more time up here during the week than I would normally have done. Anyway, if you managed to put up with episode 89, I mean, that was incredibly frustrating. I hadn't intended to put that together, which is why there was no intro to it. But it was I thought it was worth putting it in anyway, even if it did take up half an hour of my time. So yeah, that's what this is about with this RT, and not with anyone's RT really. You get little bits where you think, I'll knock that out in the morning, and it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4, 5 days later, you get the drift. So some of it can be, when you look at it on the face of it, it's really easy to do it, or it looks, just a few minutes work. And some of these jobs have a habit of spiraling out of control. And that's exactly what happened with that. So if you managed to put up with 89, thanks very much. Well done. Next, this week, I hope I shall get the advert panels. I do need to get them prepped, and I want to get them up on the bus first. But once we've got them here, as well as painting them, I've got a little bit of woodwork to put on the back, which holds the rain strip for the advert. So that needs to go on. I'm probably not going to do that in this edition, because there's still so much more to do. But anyway, and I'm not going to make any promises of what I'm going to do this weekend, because after that disaster with the window, it's very hard to make a promise, isn't it? So anyway, stick around. Let's see what we've got done. And I'm sure when I do that little picture of the field out there, I'll tell you what I actually got done.
What did we actually get done? Yep, I finished the window panels. Hurrah! The advert panels have arrived. One of my colleagues dropped them down the van and I got them prepped, and the very first coat of paint went on. DM999 went out to a bus rally on Sunday. 1804 went out on a mercy mission. And RM158 went out to get some fuel. So here we go.
This, unfortunately, is the boring reality of restoring a bus. This really is about 95% of the work that we need to do. The putting things on and taking things off is probably the fun stuff, but this really is the reality. This is one of the panels, the middeck panels, that are going to replace up here. There's 4 of them. This one's got one of the little apertures cut out for the drain, which is in the side of the bus from the upper deck. So, yeah, what I'm planning to do is I'm going to spray this later on today white. Now, you may notice I've done a bit of overspray deliberately. What I'll do is, once I've got the white on here, I'll then mask it up, and then I'll put the green on that side. So that's how I'll do it. Years ago, I used to mask to the line and then mask up there, and it doesn't really work out, quite frankly. There is an inch margin with the beading, which runs roughly along there. So I've got plenty of space to sort of get the line a bit wrong, as it were, because it'll be hidden underneath the beading. But anyway, there you are. This is it, really. This is what 95% of the work is all about, is boring preparation. I'm looking forward to putting them back on, be honest with you. But, if you don't get the prep right, the thing isn't going to look right at the end. There's no magic wand, sadly, with something like this. Right, I best push on.
Right, speaking of tasks, do you remember this manky old light box that was on the offside of the RT at the back? Here it is now. Right, I've dismantled it completely, and all of its component parts are now out, as you can see. And it has been, including these little bits, there's a bit from inside, and you can notice just over the back there by my panel, this one here is one of the other bits. There's a few bits and pieces that need to be sprayed white. So that is just undercoat, and that needs to be done complete with these panels. This is one that I've made for the back of the bus, back of the RT, that sits just below the blind box and just above that big window. And you've seen these ones before. These are the ones that I mentioned just now. There are 4 of these in undercoat. So all that is undercoat. It's just bright white undercoat, and we need to get the nice paint out in a minute and give these a bit of a clean. What I'm doing here is I'm just checking that I've removed all the dust from them. Once I've gone over this, I've got like a sticky cloth. It's a bit like the sort of thing you'd use to catch flies, I suppose, in the old days. What you do is you run the sticky cloth over and it picks up any remaining dust. That's the plan, basically. Whether it works, who knows. But anyway, yeah, so just trying to get everything nice and clean before we start the real task of spraying these in top coat.
Right, the time has come to put some paint on these panels. This is going to be a gloss white coach enamel from this firm. This is actually quite good. I quite like this paint. It's quite easy to spray as well as hand paint. That's a nice little paint. By the way, other paint manufacturers are available. But anyway, yeah, nice little bit of paint there. Right, so now I've prepped all of this. I have rubbed it down, as you saw earlier on, if I've done this in the right sequence, blown it off with the airline and then run it over with a thing called a tacky cloth. So, right, we've got, these are that back lamp box, as you can see, and then these are the panels for the back of the bus, or that one's for the back, and these are the ones that sit on that advert rail that just below the advert panels. Now, Brian Watkinson pointed out something, it was a very good point. Buses at Aldenham, what they did was they would have put a primer coat on them and then fitted them onto the bus and then resprayed the whole thing. And he said, well, hang on, if you're going to do that, you've got all the screws, all the sealant, and all the other bits and pieces, which is going to be a right mess. What I'm not trying to do is to paint this in situ. That will be an absolutely massive task. Plus the fact that in here is really dusty. So we end up with a lot of dust in the paint. So I don't want to do that. What I plan to do is to get it as nice as I possibly can. And then when I'm absolutely happy, we'll take it out of here and we'll get someone to repaint it. The problem is with painters is that the type of people that I would like to do this are now becoming quite thin on the ground. London Truck and Coach, which have had a few of my buses over the years, are now in the process of closing down at Northfleet, so we've lost that one. By the time I've done this, the whole thing will be gone and redeveloped. There are other companies which are about that do London buses, yeah, possibly, but also I'm looking for somebody that will do it using sort of semi-traditional means. Now, these were not brush painted from new, and I'm not suggesting for any minute that we will brush paint these. These were always sprayed from new. They were sprayed, it'd be sort of a strong, a bit of a hard ask for somebody to brush paint this, and I'm not going to do that. So so the intention is to get her into a reasonable condition, so much so that whoever gets the job of repainting this doesn't have a colossal amount of prep work. It's probably cheaper for me to do the prep work than it is for somebody else, because obviously we're paying external prices and they'll be fairly expensive in the long run. So hence the reason why I'm doing as much of the prep and getting it as tidily as I possibly can. So hopefully that explains the point of why am I spraying all the panels before I put them back on the bus. Sheer madness, probably.
The thing I really wanted to get my hands on were these, the advert panels. Alan Brown, who very kindly cut them for me. Unfortunately, Alan couldn't fit them in his car because they're rather large. So a colleague of mine very kindly agreed to go up to Alan's place and collect these panels for me. Right, we knew this was going to be a bit of a problem because these are quite big. In fact, they take up most of the van on one side. There's only two of them, two 8-foot sheets in there. So Alan Brown had very kindly agreed to cut them for me. We got all the aluminium and had them delivered to him. And then all Alan had to do was, all he had to do, but was to cut them to size. These are quite big. They couldn't fit in his cutter, so he had to use the manual shears on these. So very grateful to Alan. I'm also very grateful to my colleague who popped down to Alan's place to pick these up for me. Now these are in, I can start the serious stuff of getting some paint on these. The reason is I do want to work down from the top down to the bottom of the bus. That's why some of the wood has just been left as it is. So now we can make a start on these panels. Hurrah! Right, so we've literally no time to waste. It was time to make a start on these. They arrive with this blue protective coating, and there's also like an oil-based coating on them as well. So hence the reason why I've got that panel wipe there. So I'm going to have to rub these off with the panel wipe on both sides. This, as I said, you saw earlier on the other panels which were in the back of shot. They've all been done apart from the top coat, which I need to do this weekend. But I really wanted to do the top coat on all the panels that I'd got laying around. So anyway, this stuff is panel wipe. You probably get the idea. Just got to run it across the top to remove any of the latent oil. I've got to do both sides as well, so I won't bore you with that. I'll just do this. But then the next thing I've got to do is I've got to get the DA out and give it a good scuffing up. Yeah, it's the sort of job that you can go to sleep doing, really. The purpose of this is just to abrade the surface of the panel. You notice I'm not going right to the very edge. The reason for that is the panel, both top and bottom, is actually hanging over the bench. And if I put too much pressure on those corners, it could actually bend the panel. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to move the panel later on. But you may, as I said, you may notice I'm not going right to the edges of them. So I'll just move the panel. And that will save the panel getting damaged. So the purpose of this is that when I put the primer coat on it, it has a really good surface to adhere to. So I've done, the first thing, as you saw earlier on, was to get the panel wipe out and give it a clean off. And then the second thing is to do this. And the third thing is to get the tacky cloth out, maybe even the airline. I can't remember what I did in which sequence. It might have been the airline, then the tacky cloth, to get any residual metal. You'll be surprised, actually, how much dirt actually does come off these panels. Right, so there we are. Let's move on from that then. It's a pretty obvious sort of little task, isn't it?
Right, it's really early in the morning, and the sun up there somewhere is just about coming up over the Essex countryside. Yesterday, it went a little bit Pete Tong again. Reason being, and it's probably nothing to do with these blooming windows, although they were part of the problem, I must admit. Peter Fig popped up to do some work on his bus yesterday afternoon, and he suffered a puncture on the way. Now, that in itself is not a problem, but I got involved and I helped him sort of take the wheel off. Modern cars don't have spare wheels. So anyway, we removed the wheel and he's going to take it today to get it repaired. Now, that's not a problem, obviously, but he didn't have a car. So I packed up at 6 o'clock when normally I'd have carried on to get these damn windows finished. I really didn't want it to go into another day. So Sunday morning now, and I just abandoned everything at about 6 o'clock last night in order to take Peter home. So anyway, it played on my mind overnight. And I thought I need to get back up here and try and get these things finished off. Otherwise, it's going to start to get really irritating. So, right, let's try and get back on track today.
Okay, did I say I wasn't going to mention these windows? Yeah, you can do me on the Trades Descriptions Act now, can't you? Right, well, having done the offside, here is me thumping around the frame on the offside. I now need to do the two on the near side. Now, as luck would have it, they were actually just in the frames, we weren't in the bus, and I was interested to see if it was going to be easier to do them out of the bus rather than in the bus. So anyway, here's a quick update from the barn.
Did I say I wasn't going to talk about these window frames? This is absolutely dominating the agenda at the moment. That's a clever word, isn't it? Dominating the agenda when you're restoring a bus. Yeah, this is one of the frames from the near side of the bus now, because I've got two of these to do. This is the final one, hurrah! But it's not complete. As I mentioned in the intro a little bit for today, Peter Fig had a puncture on his car. So basically, I just abandoned everything at about 6 o'clock in order to take him home because he would have been stuck up here. So anyway, I really wanted to get this done. I wanted to get this out of the way. I would have stayed on probably until I got it finished. I reckon probably another 2 hours worth of work on this. I've got to put the little runners back in here. There's one here and there's one there. That in itself is not a problem. And then I've got to put the sliding window back in, and it all should work. That's the theory. However, yesterday when I did the other window pan, which is one of the new pans, this is an old one that's been reconstituted, but I did the new pan and there was some slight variances in it which caused a problem. So checked it all out. As I put it together, this is a little windy thing here, no handle on it at the moment, but I checked all that before I put it back together again, popped on the glass, slid it into the rubber, put it back on the bus, put the 2 new sliders in and the sliding window, and it was jammed solid. And I worked out in the end, I had to fiddle around with it. I took it all apart. And in the end, it turned out to be one of these runners, was very slightly bowed. And it basically just wouldn't allow the window to move. So I had to take it all apart again on this side and then refit it. And now it works. It's not perfect. It's not going up and down like it's brand new, but it turns on the handle. So I'm quite pleased with that. But yeah, these are proving to be an absolute nightmare. And yes, I was warned. The guy that I know is doing his RTL said, Dean, they're a pain in the backside. And he's absolutely correct. These are a horrible job. In comparison to the nice ones that haven't got this in, they're wonderful. You can do them in, I don't know, half an hour or so. They're a piece of cake. But these are just horrid, truly horrid. And once I've got this one done, this is the end of it then, thank Christ. And I can get on with doing all the other stuff, which I was hoping to do at the beginning of yesterday. Now, a quick update, with Peter taking this bus out behind me, 1804, he's going to go and get it fueled up and he's going to go and get his tyre repaired for his car. He's going to put his tyre in there and take it down to the local Quick Fit. That should be interesting, going by bus to Quick Fit. And while he's out, I might have a chance to tidy up and sweep up in here, and also to get those advert panels prepped up, ready to go back on, because they will be the first thing to go back on that bus. Anyway, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put the kettle on. I've had enough now. And it's only about 5:30 on Sunday morning.
Right, you'll be pleased to know the end is nigh for the window disaster. Right, here I am now. I've applied the little runners in there. The top window is now in place. However, right, you can't see it entirely clearly. What these are, every component that you're looking at, apart from the screws that I'm now using to put in, and they were a horror. They were so small that I ended up having to put them in with this pair of pliers there. Look, it's a pair of mole grips. So I just pushed them into where I drilled the hole and then screwed them in place. They were absolutely horrid. But anyway, never mind. Everything on there, the glass, the windy things, is the original glass that came out of 3461. The frame isn't original, but it is a reconstituted frame. And obviously, as you know, the rubber is new, and I've had the handles and the drive mechanism chromed by that firm, and not far from Bristol. They're not really on the south coast. As they were on the south coast, I got completely confused last time when I did that. So anyway, there we are. So we can really, now we've finished this, we can put this one to bed, and these will disappear to the back of the barn, where they will await the time when they get reinstated in the bus. At this rate, I really hope that we're going to be able to get the side of this bus in by the end of the summer period, because we are making quite significant progress with this now. So there we go. I'm going to put the screw in on the other side now. So right, let's wrap on this and go on to some more positive stuff. Right, what a time to find out that there was a stone stuck underneath that door and the damn thing jammed. Never mind. Anyway, Peter is going to take 1804 out, as I mentioned before, not only to get his tyre fixed, but also he wants to put some fuel in the bus, and I think he wants to give it a bit of a general run out before he heads off in a week or so's time down to the Swanley event where he's running on a couple of bus routes down there. So yeah, so here's 1804 leaving the barn. I can move it out the barn myself, but I really I don't know, I don't really disturb things really. It's his bus, but anyway. But with that bus out the barn now, I have got quite a nice amount of space, and I'll show you this picture. I mean, the place does look like a bomb site, unfortunately. Right, so this is actually quite a rare shot, and it's only made possible by the fact we've taken 1804 out. 1069 my RM is just poking in on the left hand side with its rather unusual mirror that one of my engineers decided to fit. I hate that mirror. I don't know why he fitted it to it. It made it look like something out of a provincial bus service. And alongside it, Titan 890 is acting as the stand for the new panels. There's the advert panel that you saw before. There's one of them. The other one's still on the bench, which I left there. And the new panels are propped up on the front of 890. I've had to put that little red cloth on there because she was getting a little bit scratched on the paintwork. You also notice it's doubling as a shirt stand for my shirt. I wear all my really old clothes when I'm down at the barn. I've learnt my lesson from years back when my then girlfriend used to buy me new clothes, and I used to come down here and you'd end up with oil or grease or some other contaminant on it, and then I had to lose them. And she used to say to me, "Where's that nice shirt I bought you?" Well, there you go. That's what happens when you turn up down here. So I now have loads of old clothes which I wash and then take up and use. I've even got old shoes which I use up there as well. So anyway, so moving around, there's what looks like a spider's web at the front. That RML there, it's RML 2428, one of the Garston motors that actually ousted RT3461 back in about 1968. It was delivered new to Garston for the 306, 347 and a whole batch of other routes at Garston at the time, and it pushed out a large number of RTs, including my one, which 3461 was then sent off in disgrace, I suppose, as being an old thing, down to Northfleet, went down to Kent, which I think was later on in 1977 where she actually got repainted. So yeah, anyway, but there we are, a bit of a career. So, and you can see the side of the bus now. There you can see where the two advert panels are going to go, just up the top there. I've still got this paint to get off round the back, and I did warn Peter. I said, Pete, you're going to get covered in green dust because I've got to rub all this paint off at the back. There's quite a lot of paint to come off there, so even more dust will be created. So there we are, there is inside the shed. Right, so as well as Peter taking his bus out to get his tyre repaired and some fuel, Nick took DM999 out to a bus rally over at Ipswich. So there we go, there's DM999 departing. The farmer has, if you've been following this, you may notice when I start with the field pictures, last Friday they lifted all this. It was, well, I mean, they called it barley or wheat or something, but anyway, they lifted it all out last week, so it's given me a nice little vantage point to stand in the field, because I didn't want to do that and ruin his crop, and film the buses coming and going. So there's 999 on its way to Ipswich. Right, and then shortly after, Mark pops out with his bus and a couple of friends to get some fuel. He's going out next week to an event up in Essex near Dunmow somewhere. So there we are, so there's Mark off to get some fuel. Meanwhile, we discover Peter Figg washing his RM1804. So yeah, he's got the bus outside, he's got the hose, he's got the little washing machine, and there he is down the front, just wiping off the windows. A little bit camera shy, I think, Peter. But anyway, yeah, credit to him, because he had to walk up to the barn. It took him over an hour from the local railway station. So there's Peter, cleaning his bus, ready to go off to Swanley in a week or so's time. Right, so with Peter and 1804 out of the way, outside washing their bus, I was able to get on with doing this. This is one of the advert panels, which is now in top coat. I've still got to do the back of the panel. I've already primed the back with some etch primer. I just need to put that black on. You may have seen earlier on. where I've sprayed those panels black on one side. So I was able to do the green on this panel, its sister panel, and all of the lower panels. While Peter was outside, well, he's either outside getting his tyre fixed or, you know, you got the idea. So, unfortunately, my very good friend, who is an absolute professional master painter, he's really good with his paintwork, and he said to me, Dean, I'll pop up on Thursday and see how you're getting on painting those panels. I don't know. I said to him, I'm going to put them around the back and make out someone's stolen them. No, they're not bad. Don't get me wrong. They're not perfect. They're certainly not to Alan Brown's standard. So when you're actually being judged by somebody who really knows his stuff with paint, I mean, Alan can pick up a spray gun and spray in a hurricane and still get a very good finish. I can't, even in the best of conditions. So anyway, there is the one of those advert panels. I've still got to drill little holes and countersink all that stuff, but I thought I'm going to get the spraying out the way while everyone was out the way of the barn. So yeah, that was really useful, and by Sunday morning I was getting a little bit stressed because I wanted to get this out of the way, tick off those windows, tick off these panels, and then I can get on with all the other stuff. There's tons of other stuff to do, but the opportunity was perfect on Sunday. So anyway, there we go, friends. It's a wrap. So a slightly shorter one than usual, and I look forward to doing the next one. I'm up there for another couple of days this week, and then I'll be up there again at the weekend, and yeah, I'm beginning to see some progress, and hopefully you are when you're watching these. Right, so thanks for watching, and YouTube will very hopefully recommend something else to watch. See you next time.